Chapter 2, The Runaways. Are we truly the evil ones? Fitot, from Murder and Mercy, by Lady Anika. Pavokit. I sketched a picture of the setting sun as I tried not to think about how many people here didn't like me. Or our most recent battle, when someone came up to me. I jumped to my feet and scrambled to hide my drawing. A dragon stood in front of me, her grey eyes like embers, and her iron armor dusted with ash, the colour of her scales. Good morning, Lieutenant, I said nervously. She did not bother with greeting. Private Pavokit, the Emperor is sending you Private Pyektr and Private Svekho to Arachnia. There, you will assassinate Queen Powatina. Arachnia? Why us? She glared at me, her eyes growing brighter. Yes, Private. Now that the pathetic Commonwealth is out of the way, it is time to move on to their useless ally. It took us 17 years to conquer the Commonwealth, I muttered. Excuse me? Her eyes blazed. Nothing, I added hastily. She narrowed her eyes. You leave tomorrow, she added before stalking away. Early the next morning, Lieutenant Aniskaya woke us up, saying the mission had begun. We put on our armor and started flying south. Who does she think she is, ordering us around like that? She is not our mama! Svekho complained. He was new to the army, and from what I heard, was one of the many who missed their parents. Footnote. Mama is draconic for mama. She outranks us, Pyektr pointed out. I am more confused why she got us specifically to do this job. I have been here a month. We are all 5 except him. He gestured to me. 5 was the lowest age at which you could join the army. I was 7. The former was like being around 12 for a fairy, and the latter was equivalent to around 15. Svekho shrugged. Whatever. He flew in silence for a bit before I asked. What do you think about what we're doing? Assassinating Queen Powatina? Pyektr asked. I shook my head. No, in general, taking over the continent like this. Do you think... I thought about sharing the nagging question that had been on the back of my mind for 2 years. Are we on the wrong side? The other 2 stared at me, then Pyektr smiled and said, Of course you would think that, Hiskot. Footnote, Hiskot is a draconic word used to refer to somebody who has not killed anyone. What? Asked Svekho. He has never killed anyone, so we call him Hiskot. That is a terrible nickname. Pyektr nodded. Yes, but it is accurate. Well, I suppose this is better than getting accused of treason, I thought. We found a cave in one of the Tonne mountains to stay in, hoping the Arachnes would not find us. They did not. We flew above the mountains and ravines, sometimes, as the strong winds often got so annoying we decided walking would be faster. Houses dotted the landscape, and dark eyes sometimes stared up at us as we passed over villages. When we eventually reached the castle and pond, we found the Queen of Arachnia sitting in a web she had woven, sipping tea menacingly. She wore a dark blue stola and a lavender pallor draped over it. Her golden crown sat on her black hair and mantilla. She cackled loudly as we stepped inside, staring at us with her pitch-black eyes. Welcome to my castle, Karkini. Why not come in for some tea? Svekho stared at her. We have work to do, and it is not drinking tea. Pyektr shot a look of disapproval at Svekho as Queen Powatina's smiles faltered for a split second. Are you sure? Spirits, we should have done this stealthily. Pyektr muttered. To Svekho, he said through gritted teeth, we need to go with her or she will kill us all. Svekho frowned. We could fight her. Pyektr shook his head. We cannot. Not knowing what else to do, we followed Queen Powatina through her castle and into a room with tea and pastries laid out. She surveyed us with those dark eyes, smiling and sipping her tea. A while passed where everyone was just standing there, wondering if the food was poison. The silence was only broken by the Queen's unsettling laughter, and our trying to make awkward small talk. After what felt like days of this, Queen Powatina grew bored and called for someone. Svekho and Pyektr pulled out their weapons as several arachnids and in white copper armor rushed in. I was standing near the door and realized this would be a good chance to leave. I slipped out the door, luckily unnoticed, and began to dash down the hall. I nearly got out of the castle before someone tapped my back. "Ciao, Tatino," a female voice said. Footnote: Ciao Tatino is Arachnids for hello, little or young soldier. I whirled around, and at first I thought I saw Queen Powatina, two of her hands on her hips. But after looking again, I noticed she was shorter than the queen, was wearing different clothes and a silver crown rather than gold, and had her hair down. This must have been her daughter, Princess Torretta. "What are you doing?" she said, wearing her disgust on her metaphorical sleeve, as Arachnids tunics did not have them. Her Draconic was fluent, but it was heavily accented. It gave me the impression that she had learned it from books, but had little practice actually speaking. What does it look like?" I asked. "Invading." Her eyes were dark and angry. "We already have to deal with this from those Mytonese. We do not need you barging in as well." I looked down. "Sorry, I came with a force meant to kill your mother, but now I just want to leave." "I do not trust you." "I promise you, that is all I want." She crossed two arms and frowned. "Fine, but I will come with you and make sure you do not try anything." She found a pen and paper and wrote something on it in Arachnids. "Now come with me." Then she followed me through the castle. When we got outside, I asked if she would follow me to the border. "I do not want you attacking my kingdom," Princess Torretta had said. She spun a kind of glider from her silk and followed me across the kingdom. "Why do you want to leave anyway?" she asked after a little while. "I think I might be on the wrong side," I answered. She laughed. "What has the Emperor been saying to make you only consider that?" I shrugged. "I do not know." When we reached the border, Princess Torretta returned to the castle, and I kept flying north. Maybe Pyektr and Svekho had gotten out to safety. No, Pyektr could read, so what if he read Arachnids and learned of my betrayal? Maybe they had been captured. I decided I would stay as far from the Emperor's castle. Maybe I could hide in the daiga where the Vix and Powatina used to be, in the grasslands and forests where the Fae lived, or in Powatina, where I would not look very suspicious. None liked us very much since we had conquered their homeland, and imprisoned or killed all of their leaders. Of course, there was also neutral foe. Would have many more people to be friendly to me, but this was behind the border, and for some reason I felt like I could not leave Cinnis. Maybe it was just because of what my parents used to say to me. Maybe it was because it was all I had ever known. Maybe it was because of the civil war in Arachnia. Maybe it was because most people outside of Cinnis did not speak Draconic. I continued north. Nocza. I lay on my bed, sweating terribly, my head spinning and my wrists and back burning. Duskazia was nearby, playing an old ballad on her harp. She said it was not a normal sickness, but instead caused by an attempt to purge iron from my body. Each time this past week, I'd become more tired and dizzy, and the remaining pain in my wrist and back took longer to leave. It was not fatal as far as we knew, but the only thing we could do was wait for it to pass. I leaned over the side of the bed and vomited into the bucket Duskazia had placed there. Her playing stopped as she watched the reappearance of that morning's breakfast. "Oh, Piedrocha," she said once I was finished. Piedrocha was her nickname for me. It was a diminutive of Biedrowa, which meant ladybird. "Why?" I croaked, my throat burning and my eyes filling with tears. "Why did they do this?" She sighed and shook her head. "I do not know. I am so sorry. No child should ever have to endure the cruelty of the senescents." Her face became distant, thinking of all we had lost to them, what others had done to protect us. what she had done to protect me. I was old enough to know that even though she acted like my mother, she was barely more than a child herself. How could we stop this? She wiped my face clean, her eyes determined. Run, Piedrocha. Run from this place and never return. Go to the countryside where no one will know you, where Duke Ivan Ketro's power does not reach. You can leave the city-state, leave the country even. It does not matter as long as you are safe. I ran through the city, splashing through the growing rain puddles, soaking my stockings and ruining my shoes. My soaked skirts were pulled up to my knees, gathered in my hands along with my long sleeves. My heart pounded and my breathing was fast and labored as thunder boomed and rain beat down my back. My thoughts screamed in anguish. What was I doing? This was not me. I was no rebel. Nocza was the rebellious one, but Nocza was dead, and now I ran, as she had always implored me to do up to her last breath. Some people ignored me, since this was quite common, if how casually Kazielia and Sonyelia talked about it was any indication. But others stopped looking at me with confusion or contempt. I ignored them all, focused solely on reaching the countryside. Someone pulled me aside under a covering that kept out the rain and wrapped me in a cloak. Terrified, I lashed out and tried to thrust my elbow into my attacker's face. She grunted. "Shh, I won't hurt you. Viva Louis Durley," she whispered harshly. Footnote. Viva Louis Durley is Lepusian, specifically in the Powatinan dialect. It means long live the dukes. It is a patriotic slogan that was popularized during Powatinan unification and later during the War of 727, which is this war. I shook my head. No, stop this. I tried to say it, but the words died in my throat as my pleas for Nocza's innocence had. The soldiers ran past us, cursing me loudly, but soon they realized they had gone too far and began a short search that ended when they came to us. I put on an emotionless mask. "Did you see the traitor?" one asked. No. The woman's face quivered greatly, like her body. My eyes went as wide as the moon's. A soldier grabbed me, ripping the cloak off. "There you are!" He smiled a smile that reminded me of an overdramatic comedy I'd once seen. "Thought you could get away, no, Bjorjania." My heart raced and I screamed, partially from fear and partially because some of his iron armor was touching. I squirmed, trying to throw him off, but that was only met with a harsh laugh as one of the others grabbed my other arm. I tried not to cry. A spear vice hit one of the soldiers in the face. The woman who had grabbed me stared at him determinedly, as though she was breathing heavily. I shook my head, willing her to leave. She did not. The soldiers glared at her. "Bitch," he spat. "Let her go," the woman said. The soldier laughed, his grip on me loosening. I took my chance, squirming out of his grasp and kicking the other soldier. But I hit his arm and was left hissing from the pain of iron. The first soldier grabbed me again and shot a fireball at the woman. Her eyes widened and she started to shout something, but all I heard was, "Viva!" before she was reduced to ashes. I stood in shock, my mouth so wide open, and barely resisted as I was dragged away. "Nocza, I am sorry."